How you pick them all, you know yourself.
More talk, news, and sports after this.
Go for gold, Terra Gold Cube, the amazing seasoning cube. So when you're cooking your delicious meals, don't compromise. Go for gold.
Rich, consistent taste for cooking mouth-watering soups, stews, and jollof. Choose wisely. Choose Gold. Terra Gold Seasoning Cube.
One cube. Endless possibilities. Terra Gold.
No buy am.
But why?
No see say this big bull bag of rice no get the new big bull holographic seal.
Not true.
Introducing the Big Bull Holographic Seal Tape, your favorite authentic Big Bull rice, 50 kg and 25 kg. Now with holographic seal tape. This is to ensure you get the premium product from Big Bull Rice. Do not buy if the holographic seal tape is not on the bag or is broken. Big Bull Rice. Tasty rice nourished you.
I am malaria, the king of malaria parasites. My mission is simple, to take over your body, to cause fever, chills, headache. But one thing stands in my way. Come on.
Effective relief from malaria. Comal on. Malaria gone. If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult doctor.
That special secret that awakens taste buds. Mouth-watering wonder with awesome aroma. Terra Seasoning Cubes.
Terra Seasoning Cube turns your meals into a masterpiece.
Unwrap joy, unleash taste. Hey, come cook with Terra Cubes. Come cook with Terra.
Get ready for the second regional finals of the I Beg to Differ Secondary School Debate Tournament, Season 9. The nation's most brilliant young minds are gearing up once again. Are you ready to join them? Registration for the live audition opens December 11th, 2025 and closes January 10th, 2026. Think your school has what it takes to stand out on the biggest secondary school debate platform in the country? Here's how to be part of it. Visit www.nigeriainfo.fm to register. Or head to our X and Instagram pages and click on the registration link in our bio. Note, only schools can register directly, not individual students. Don't miss your chance to be part of this exciting intellectual showdown. I Beg to Differ, where the leaders of tomorrow raise their voices today.
I am the chef of life with Mr. Chef.
Niger vibe. Mr. Chef, two finger crush.
I am the chef of life with Mr. Chef. I am the chef of life with Mr. Chef.
Mr. Chef, taste home, taste culture.
Chef of life.
99.3 Nigeria Info, your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
All right, we've got to go. Our time is fast spent, unfortunately. And we want to thank everyone who's been part of the conversation. We're waiting for another season 9. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And let me re-echo what Yvonne said on off air. I'm looking forward to when a public school.
Oh, I look forward to that
When
day. What
I
a
beg to
glorious day it will be.
The kids from Abuja came close last time.
They came
Yes,
close.
they did a good
They came
job.
close.
All right, my name is Marianne Okon. She is
Yvonne Okaifo.
and he is
Femi Obong Daniels.
Yvonne's nemesis. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
even as we share information.
We encourage you to share love this season.
It's your station for talk 99.3.
It's 4 p.m. With MoneyPoint, you enjoy free transfers until you turn 25.
This is where it all connects, all in one place.
GPS OEK and Co. are suspended because they've been engaging in anti-party activities.
Did he not campaign for Labour Party in Lagos State?
It's just my pocket.
Withdrawing police details from VVIP people.
Tomorrow we'll call so they need people to come and join military.
The news, conversation, information, and discussion. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
And now the business news.
The National Bureau of Statistics says prices of key food items dipped slightly in October 2025. Its Food Prices Watch shows year-on-year declines in beans, gari, tomatoes, and local rice, with beans dropping 37% and gari 29%. Onions and beef, however, recorded increases. The NBS also notes sharp price differences across states as government efforts to further reduce food costs continue. Meanwhile, the National Bureau of Statistics says Nigeria posted a 6.69 trillion naira trade surplus in the third quarter of 2025, up from 27% from last year. Exports reached 22.8 trillion naira, imports stood at 16.1 trillion naira, and experts credit forex reforms and currency depreciation for boosting exports and reducing imports. Despite some challenges, stakeholders say these reforms are strengthening Nigeria's trade position and supporting local production. The federal government says it will raise 1.23 trillion naira in 4 months to clear long-standing debts owed to power generation companies and gas suppliers. Presidential Energy Advisor Oluverhayen announced the plan under the power sector debt reduction program, calling it key to stabilizing the electricity market. She says several GenCos have signed settlement agreements, with the federal government issuing a 7-year government-backed bond to restore confidence in the sector. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission says DISCOs installed over 187,000 new meters in September and October as efforts to close the metering gap continue. NERC's latest metering fact sheet shows installations rose from 80,900 in September to 106,800 in October, pushing the national metering rate from 55.37% to 56.07%. Eko, Ikeja, Abuja, and Ibadan DISCOs recorded strong gains, while Enugu, Jos, Kaduna, Kano, and Yola remain below 50%. The House has passed the second reading of a bill to amend the Central Bank Act, aiming to split the roles of CBN governor and board chairman. This move targets weak governance and lack of oversight, blamed for recent monetary policy and forex issues. Lawmakers say the bill will boost transparency, accountability, and strengthen the central bank's operations and checks. And finally, Nigeria's oil production rose by 35,000 barrels per day to 1.436 million barrels per day in November 2025, and that's according to OPEC's latest report. Despite the increase, output remains below the 1.5 million barrels per day quota amid improved security and project work. Minister Heineken Lukbubri said Nigeria will push for a higher quota, aiming for 2 million barrels per day. Overall, OPEC's production was steady, led by Saudi Arabia's 48,000 barrels per day increase. That's all the news updates, the business updates we have for you at this time. But stick around, because Borderlines with Ireti Bakare-Yusuf is up next. I am Yvonne Okhaifo, and you are listening to 99.3 Nigeria Info. Thank you for your time.
The number one talk station of Lagos is closer to you than ever.
Join the conversation online or on the go.
Be part of the Info family on our user-friendly mobile app and website for a better and improved listening experience.
Download the app from Google Play Store and App Store.
With super efficient and clean audio quality.
Log on to nigeriainfo.fm.
Watch us live on YouTube and Facebook.
Follow us on Twitter at NigeriaInfoFM.
And Instagram at NigeriaInfoFM Lagos.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
Let's talk.
From Washington to Beijing, Moscow to Abuja, London to Kigali, the world is shifting fast. Elections are shaping destinies. Wars are redrawing borders. Economies are rising and falling. And global alliances are being tested like never before. But what does it all mean for you?
With a new administration and a new president in the White House trying to put an end to the war.
I didn't know the historical context, what the state of Israel means for them.
Join the fearless Ireti Bakare-Yusuf on Borderlines every Friday at 4 p.m. on Nigeria Info 99.3. As she dissects the biggest global events and their impact on world peace.
Those who are not familiar with Israel or the war itself would not know much about the group. Breaking the silence.
No spin, no propaganda, just deep insights and fearless conversations on the geopolitics shaping our world.
People who will call and start telling you about the Bible prophecy about America and everything. See, America is not in the Bible. There's some people who just share the ideology of, yes, we and these people, we are equal, but they can't speak up.
Borderlines on Nigeria Info every Friday at 4 p.m. The world is changing. Don't just watch, understand it. Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Good afternoon, Lagos, Nigeria, the diaspora, England, UK, Palestine, Israel, Europe, wherever you're listening to us from. Welcome to Borderlines, the only show that takes you beyond borders. Today, we're staying in Africa, just a little bit outside of Nigeria. You all know what happened last Sunday. Elements of Benin's armed forces launched a bold attempt to seize power. Rebel soldiers, led by Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigre, stormed the state broadcaster, and they announced the removal of President Patrice Talon. They declared all state institutions dissolved. Yes, there was a coup d'etat, an attempted coup. What happened? Immediately, not only did it create crazy headlines, it sparked violent clashes in Cotonou. And then we heard about what Nigeria did. Indeed, there's still the conversation going on because we now know Minister Yusuf Tuga. Have you listened to our interview with him last week? Or Minister Yusuf Tuga has since come out to say those Nigerian armies that were army personnel or soldiers, not army, Air Force, that they were detained in Burkina Faso, they're still there. They are yet to be released. That's about the sixth coup attempts, although most of them, I think like 4 or so, have actually been successful. Right? 2, possibly 1 has not been successful. We have to talk about the failed coup in Benin and indeed what is happening with democracy in West Africa. Because, as many would say, analysts will tell you, there appears to be a new wave of coups in West Africa. Where is ECOWAS in all of this? Indeed, where is the AU? What exactly are they doing? And how are they helping? I have with me the person that will help us understand. His name is Dr. Wale Ojewale. Did I get it right, sir?
Thank you so much, Ojewale.
Ojewale, thank you. I beg your pardon. Welcome to Borderlines and thank you for joining us. You heard my intro. Let's start with, Pascal Tigre. Most people don't seem to know much about him. I remember all the analysts that were talking on all the international stations, they didn't seem to know much about him. Who is he? And how was he able to actually, albeit it was foiled, but how was he able to actually put this coup together to the point where they actually take over the state broadcast in the first place?
Well, thank you so much for having me once again. I think that is the nature of coup, even historically, in countries like maybe Nigeria, Ghana, and some other African countries where they've had military rule in the past 5 to 6 decades. In 1966 in Nigeria, they were young officers, perhaps maybe in their 30s. Nobody knew so much of those names until they probably get on the scene. And everywhere, particularly the young fellow that is in Burkina Faso now too, goes out of the shadow. But one thing that most military coupists have in common is that they are usually individuals, particularly those leaders of the coup, people who have been have had their ears on the ground in terms of strategies, in terms of intelligence. And we saw a resurgence in the recent time that, in fact, coupist leaders of those coup were emerging from elite formations of the armies in those countries, to the point that I know that one congressman in the U.S. complained that the people we are training are the ones that are actually leading coup in West Africa now. So the military leader in Guinea, Conakry, was trained, I think, by America. The fellow in Nigeria was also trained by elite forces in Western countries, maybe Europe, all over the places. So we're having the finest who have been exposed to power, taking seizing the reign of leadership. And this fellow, what I've read about him, I think he's around 38 years based on what I saw in the reports. And they are usually embedded in such a way that they know look at the fellow in Gabon, for instance. He has been the ADC for the former president for many years. They are familiar with the palace and the presidency, and they know where the skeletons are buried. But, as probably we unpack in the course of this program, I think he tried his luck in Benin, and I'm excited that it didn't work out.
Why?
Yes, because I'll probably be on your program now castigating ECOWAS, talking about what they've done that was not right.
Please go ahead.
I won't do that because I'm happy with the outcome now. But,
right.
With big respect to my probably, what the conversation will look like now is better. Imagine everybody will be all over the places. ECOWAS is a failed bloc. I mean, you know what people will talk about. Because ECOWAS had in the toolkit different tools that they could use. They've tried diplomacy in Mali, it didn't work. They've tried diplomacy in Burkina Faso, it didn't work. They've tried diplomacy in Niger, it didn't work. And then this time around, they mounted an interventionist posture, and it worked. So I think at least most Nigerians are listening to these, and I know that Nigeria info is popular in the country, even among the diaspora. What happened is like the popular cliche in Southwest in the recent time, which is "We're laughing, it takes madness to madness." So I think that is what happened. No matter what people want to say, democracy has been preserved, at least for now, in Benin.
But here's the thing. You said when we look at the other coups that were successful, yes, indeed, they didn't intervene. They tried diplomacy. But we have so-called democratically elected leaders who become and they morph into democratically elected dictators, some of whom are, there used to be a show in the UK called Waiting for God, right? A lot of them are waiting for God, so to speak, because that's what they call people who are in there, septuagenarians, etc., etc. But yet ECOWAS, the same ECOWAS who mounted an intervention this time, have never done anything at all to those leaders. So why then should Africans, young West Africans, be celebrating this current intervention?
Yes, I think it's a very discomfiting truth in the sense that yes, people look at the civilian administrators and felt like some of them are even morphing into what I would describe as autocrats, even though they were voted as Democrats. We saw how Alpha Conde in Guinea-Conakry started subverting the constitutional process. We saw that recently, an attempt in Senegal, which I will, in the course of this program, project as a shining example about how people should resist authoritarian tendencies. And we also saw Ouattara sworn in recently for his fourth term, I think. And in those instances that I've mentioned, there were attempts to change the constitution. ECOWAS do possess a protocol on good governance and democracy, which they basically state that 6 months to election, no president, no incumbent should change the constitution, particularly as it relates to term limits. I think what is happening is that the ECOWAS head of state is also a trade union in which people can't really talk to one another courageously, challenge these tendencies of authoritarian drift that we've seen when Democrats, people who are elected democratically, like you mentioned, get into power and start behaving as autocrats and entrench themselves indeed as autocrats. So they've not been able to talk to one another. It took President Jonathan to reveal to us that what happened in Guinea-Bissau was a ceremonial coup. And much more than that is the fact that even beyond that, don't forget that Embalo Cisse handed over as the ECOWAS chair to the president of Nigeria.
Indeed.
It's amazing that people who subscribe or claim to subscribe to democratic ideas at that level will have embarked on the misadventure that Embalo Cisse had embarked upon in Guinea-Bissau by one, proscribing the parliament about a year ago or so. And then when he could not get back through the ballot, then he called in his chief of staff and handed over to a military government. The guy is hibernating, I think, in Equatorial Guinea now. So we see this trend in which head of states are just tolerating one another, their excesses, and then they couldn't really do anything. What happened is that two things, really. One, when subversion happens, people feel like, okay, if we could not get rid of him through the ballot, through the transparent, through the electoral process, we're happy that some folks somewhere emerge from the blues and get him out through the barrel of gun. It's an anomaly of some sort, but it's a short-lived excitement, because subsequently what we see is that as we have seen in Nigeria, and I do believe historically, based on what I've read, I'm not sure whether the present coupists are sophisticated as a generation of IBB. So if those people, after spending long time in government, people really press back and say, I step aside, then whatever this present crop of coup leaders in West Africa are enjoying, it's a very short-term honeymoon. People are going to push back at some point, but the challenge is that it comes at a cost. Yes, young Nigerian, young Burkinabe, Malian celebrated when those guys took over the reign of power. But I can tell you authoritatively now that they are groaning in silence now. They are complaining in silence now because, for instance, if Mali were to be operating a 5-year electoral cycle for presidential election, by now election ought to have held. And are you telling me, can anybody say that based on the reality on ground now, where violent attacks by armed groups have multiplied by 430% in the last 5 years, will such government be voted back into power? This is the reality of military administration. They are only concerned about regime protection and not really delivering onto the people.
Indeed. But we also then have to look at the interference of foreign countries, so to speak, the likes of France. So in this last Benin coup, it was said that, France provided logistical support, albeit, Nigeria is the one that sent in the troops, so to speak. Is that a positive thing, or does that just not entrench? Because, again, whilst military leadership is not the preferred, there is a reason why military leaderships, or at least coups, are being celebrated, applauded, if you like, by the vast majority of young West Africans, especially. Remember, they have not lived through a coup, right? They've only known that as they're growing up, it's been the same leaders who have not given them the dividends of democracy. And it's also been the exact same foreign interference. So what impact? We have to unpack that, and I'd like you to unpack that for us. The impact of the foreign interference of the likes of France. Indeed, we could even extend it to the United States and, others on what is going on in West Africa, but predominantly France, because France is the one that is being rejected by all those countries.
Yes, it is easier to pillory France for everything that happens in the region. And I'm not holding brief for France. I think there's sufficient evidence. And you can't, there's no way we can write off the pain of West African Francophone citizens. That is just the truth, because it's a sentiment that runs wide. Nigeria gained independence in the 1960s, and I think the umbilical cord with the United Kingdom was cut off immediately. That is not the case with Francophone West African and Central African countries. So those things exist for imperialist reasons, which I think it's up to the Francophone people to determine how they want to address that. But I would say something that I believe so strongly that makes this conversation about France's involvement in local politics of Francophone countries not to be a tea party. And the reason is this. You see, at the political level, people can talk about we want to decouple from France, but at cultural level, it is not as easy as it is said for obvious reasons. If you come to Senegal, where I live now, and you present a Russian visa to France visa to any boy or girl, let's say in his early 20s or teenage, he's probably going to pick France. Because why? Why? The country is economically and politically connected to these countries. The strongest linkage is the cultural linkage. They speak French here. They speak French all over the places. How do you want to decouple governance that has been established for almost 50 years by military fiat? Where they tried it, they are suffering for it now. And like I mentioned, I'm not making a case for France, but I think we need to look at this so that people will not think maybe the shortcut to this this liberation, so to speak, is military government. No. It's not going to work. It has to be conscious efforts to look for ways in which you probably cut off those dependencies that have existed economically. Look, these countries, their currency is pegged against the euro. Those are some of the issues. In Senegal, where I live, they promised that, they were going to decouple from France, they will not speak French and all those things. Those things are just to win election. The issues are deeper than that because there's a cultural linkage. There are 2-3 generations of people who have studied in France, elite here, both the military and the political class, across Francophone countries, have properties in France. The businesses that work in Francophone countries are probably French interest. So, in other words, if you switch off France in Francophone country, you are going to switch off the economy. You are going to switch off everything that is making things to work. So, I'm saying, why the military guys present themselves as a new generation or messiah, when they get into power, that is not what they are doing. In other words, they have only traded dog for monkey. Send France packing, bring in Russia. So it doesn't help the people. And the big picture here is that it's that small elite that is actually preserving themselves, not really preserving the people. Now what they get from Russia is regime protection and the Africa Corps. protected the president. But counter-terrorism, people are being killed in Mopti region, in Segu, Lipta, Koguma, and all these places in far north, where the capital is being preserved because the military has Russian protection. And is that not what France was also doing for them? For me, really, I think why it is possible to talk about France, I don't think the military oligarchy that are running those countries now are also doing anything different from what their Democrat colleague did. Okay. And even in democratically run countries, Senegal, the president promised all those things. How many of those promises has he been able to fulfill? Because a system that was built for over 50 years, you can't decouple it in 2 years.
Thank you. So talk is staying on France then. What then is Nigeria doing with France? Why are we suddenly, I see even you giggle, because why are we suddenly so close to France? Ours is not cultural. Indeed, it's not even linguistic. So what exactly is this relationship all about? And President Macron, who actually put out a tweet to say, he's spoken to President Tinubu, he's going to be supporting Nigeria with terrorism, or whatever, I paraphrase right now. And then all of a sudden we're hearing that Nigeria is sending, the Air Force in and all of that stuff. Why? What is this closeness with? Some even argue that President Macron is the deputy vice president of Nigeria at this stage. Is he?
Well, I don't think a lot of things remain in the realm of strategic ambiguity, and can only talk based on what we know. But I will start on the note that Nigeria is at liberty of choice by the leaders to decide countries that they want to work with and the extent to which Nigeria want to work with that country. Unfortunately, the situation in which we find ourselves, let's even assume that the new relationship between France and Nigeria is built on mutual respect.
But what mutual respect? What relationship? What I don't understand is, and I think what many of us don't understand, what seeds this relationship?
That's what I'm trying to say, that if we assume that the relationship has no any ulterior motive, we need to know that we are encircled by Francophone countries across board, save for the Atlantic Ocean. So I live in Francophone country, for instance, and I interact with people in Francophone countries. The thinking that runs deep is that, everything that the president of Nigeria is doing now is probably to subvert military rule in those places. Apart from figment of imagination, I don't think we have a codified report, investigative report, or a study that actually proves that really now. And I can't that. But I'm saying this as a Nigerian first, to say, don't say because Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger are at loggerhead with France, then Nigeria should not relate with France. Every country pursue its own national interest. Your national interest comes first in everything. So if, for instance, we are battling with terrorism in Nigeria, and France is ready to provide security cooperation that can help us to combat terrorism in Nigeria, we can't turn France back because Mali, Niger don't want us to relate with France. That is the feeling that runs deep, but I think it runs against the logic of international relations. So Nigeria has matured enough to decide on who Nigeria is going to choose as friend, as a nation. And we can't be seen to be inheriting the battle of other countries. I know that imperialism that exists between France and Francophone countries run deep, but that is not the heck on our own pot for our own stove to fry.
Okay, if I may interrupt you. Yes, indeed. But if I may interrupt you, Dr. Ojawale, is the fact that, yes, of course, your enemy, your friend's enemy shouldn't necessarily, your brother's enemy shouldn't necessarily be your enemy, which is what I believe you're saying to us. That's fine.
Yes.
But we can't, France is broke. Everybody knows that. We've seen how many prime ministers have they changed in the last 2 years? Over and over again. There is clearly not just an economic issue. There is a political issue going on in France, right? Now, we can say this is not an altruistic relationship. Indeed, we can argue that it isn't a balanced relationship. And I'll put this to you. Yesterday, the Federal Inland Revenue Services, which is our FRIS, signed an MOU with France's Direction Générale des Finances Publiques. Forgive my French, you speak better French than me. I don't go beyond bonjour normally. DGFIP. And they ended handing one of Europe's most sophisticated tax agencies direct collaboration on Nigeria's digital tax infrastructure. Again, we keep asking, why France? Everybody's asking, why France? We're not saying President or Nigeria should be an enemy to France. Indeed, we have had Alliance Française here. We've had cultural partnerships with France. But this is a different sort of, it's pivoted. It's a different sort of relationship. It's a relationship on the federal level, which the citizens we're trying to get our heads around.
Yes, there's no altruism in international relations, like you mentioned. And it's important to also say that why there is a lot of noise about France's new relationship, new establishments with Nigeria, China remains the number one trade partner to most countries in Africa. And I believe, based on evidence available, China is even reaping more out of some of the countries in terms of trade, in terms of what they make out of this. I look at an index published by the Cable, I think about less than 3 or 4 weeks ago, the Cable NG. It will surprise you to know that on that data, at least as officially presented, Spain is the highest trade partner in terms of what Spain makes out of trade between Nigeria and Spain last year. Was in excess of, I think, about $3 billion. When I saw it, I was also shocked. So I'm not even sure whether France is in the top 3. So I'm saying this to underscore the fact that I think there is an existing prejudice that exists between French colonies in West Africa, that through modern media propaganda, I'm not making a case for France, but I just have to reject.
Of course.
That is being imported into Nigeria, that is seeing France as, we are inheriting the enemy of our neighbor, what France did to... No, let's see. Nigeria has matured to the point that no country can come and rip Nigeria off anyhow now. And I will tell you the reason why everybody is interested in Nigeria. There is Trans-Saharan gas pipeline that is supposed to move from Niger Delta, move to Europe. Because of the fallout of the Russia war in Ukraine, some of those Western European countries are heavily dependent on the gas that comes from Russia. And there's a strategic decoupling from that. And Nigeria has I think, maybe we're among the top 3 or even number 1 country with the highest gas deposits in Africa, or at least in our sub-region. So you see that there is a long-term interest beyond France that the entire European Union has in Nigeria. What should be our interest is, how do we position this relationship in such a way that the first and second wave of imperialism that happened in Africa, this will also not go down the drain along that line, in which we produce the oil, we don't get any nothing has really translated to development in it. And then 2, Nigeria, save for the internal contradictions that we have, there's no country in the world that can wish Nigeria away. Provide the largest market because of our population. And then geopolitically in West African sub-region, this is the strongest country. Forget about our internal contradictions. And I even saw predictions that show, although I'm not sure whether Nigeria is working towards that, by 2075, I think Nigeria will be among the top 5 or 6. You must have seen biggest economies in the world.
We hear that.
Anybody that is thinking long term is not going to win Nigeria away. And I would rather situate the larger European interest and France interest in Nigeria in the context of these analyses, not because of peripheral issues with Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. If you put together the economy of Lagos, it surpasses each of those countries. So I think we have a bigger fish to fry than issues of inheriting the animosity that is probably existing between France and those countries. But let me say this, and it's a very important concern. A lot of people are concerned that the president continues to visit France. And I think that is a major issue, particularly when he was the head of ECOWAS.
Exactly.
So that is what I think really colored that perspective among the people, to be seen to be the one that is doing the dirty job for France in the sub-region, where people are entitled to their figment of imagination. It is left for the president to gauge the public mood and then make it clear that he's not doing the dirty job for France, and I can't do that. But I would say now that he's no longer the chair of ECOWAS, he's free to, at least as long as it is in the best interest of Nigeria, to seek international partners that can really help in a balanced relationship, not in the colonial kind of architecture that we had in those days.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk economy. And I'm glad you mentioned the gas pipeline. Indeed, we have to talk about the fact that 9 out of 10 times military regimes or military leadership tend to disrupt the economy. We know what's happening in Niger. Indeed, we hear of, and I say we hear of, things, good, positive steps happening in Burkina Faso. I have not been. I have not interviewed him, so I don't know. But what I want... Well, okay, so what I will ask you, though, is that you mentioned about the gas pipeline. We have the one to Morocco, and then we have the Trans-Sahara that goes through Niger to Algeria. That plan or that project surely has been hindered by the fact that Nigeria has fallen out with, her brothers, and the fact that President Tinubu was seen, not just seen to be doing the bidding for France, he threatened to go in guns a-blazing, borrowing from, that man across the pond. Forgive me, to go in there and, he threatened some sort of intervention. He was talked down from doing that in ECOWAS. Economy is desperately important. The bad governance leads to very low economic growth, which leads to high unemployment. So how then, if we're to get these young people to actually, sort of steer them away from applauding military leadership to democratic leadership, yet with high unemployment, how is that going to be done? What is ECOWAS doing to actually, get these unemployment figures? And it's high. I don't have the figures in front of me. It's incredibly high across West Africa. What is ECOWAS doing to bring it down? And what is the state of our Trans-Sahara gas pipeline through Niger and Algeria to Europe? Because we should be earning from that by now, surely.
Well, I think a lot, and I will not claim to have a perfect understanding of everything, but at least I think I can speak superficially, if not like an expert, because we have security, brought energy, infrastructure, and everything together. Now, what is ECOWAS doing? I will tell you, I don't think ECOWAS is doing anything. I largely believe ECOWAS exists with a lot of beautiful protocols on paper, but which they've not been able to really operationalize or implement it.
Can I interrupt you? Why though? Okay. Why is that?
Yes, because we have to look at the capacity of each of these countries, which is uneven. As a matter of fact, if you put all the 15 countries together, in terms of even including the AES states that have pulled out, you can barely talk about maybe 5 countries in ECOWAS that can really do anything. I mean, project significant economic power. Nigeria, Ghana, Ivory Coast, Senegal, and maybe one other that I don't know who will fit into that description. I just mentioned Senegal for you. The economy of Lagos is bigger than the economy of Senegal. The economy of Lagos is bigger than the economy of Ghana. So, in other words, you can't even talk about those other countries in AES because I've traveled to Mali, I've worked in Mali, I've flown through Burkina Faso, and I know what I saw on the ground, irrespective of what is flying on social media and all those places. So when we look at the carrying capacity of these countries, I think it's also a function of, it also bears testament to the reason why ECOWAS has not been able to really deliver. In fact, I don't have the data, but I'm very sure that Nigeria shoulders the significant economic body in terms of financing ECOWAS. And here's Nigeria that is also bogged down with its own contradictions. So I think that is part of the reasons why ECOWAS has not been able to deliver. But we can't make excuse because 50 years is too long in the lifespan of a person or an entity. So perhaps if ECOWAS by now had delivered a West African highway from Lagos to Dakar by now, that would be commendable. If ECOWAS had delivered a train 50 years after, a regional train that crisscrossed Nigeria and other countries and exit as Senegal, by now those would be significant milestones that we'll be referring to. Because outside these two infrastructure that I mentioned, you can't deliver good governance. So I live in Senegal. Pineapple goes to France before it comes to Senegal. It doesn't make sense 50 years after independence. And it's because there is no infrastructure really. So I just use that limited example to show where I think ECOWAS has fallen. If you can't develop on this high capacity infrastructure, you can't open up the region to economic development. The only thing that we have is that we have a passport that enables us to travel to 15 countries. That's all.
What about after? After AFCTA?
I think largely those, the experts in that field, they will disagree with me, but every time I have an opportunity to speak about this in media, I speak my mind. And my mind is that it's fine on paper, but poor on delivery because if you don't put infrastructure in place. I can tell you, just let me give an example. I went to Chad to work, and then I was flying from Chad to Yaoundé. Just an example. Regional integration. I was flying from Chad to Yaoundé. 60 years after independence, I needed to fly. So the flight took me to Douala in Cameroon. I flew over Nigeria and Benin. I went to Togo. And then from Togo, I went back to Yaoundé in the evening. The same Yaoundé that I visited in the morning. That is how bad it is. Why? Because I don't even need, if it were to be in Europe, you don't need to fly from N'Djamena to Yaoundé. There should be a train that takes you there in less than 2 hours. So if there is no infrastructure on ground, what is our AFCTA going to leverage on? So that is the reason why, for me, I think it's like putting the cart before the horse, really.
Indeed.
And that, but I've met experts who believe so much in the vision. I also believe, and they say otherwise. But this is the reality of Africa. Regional integration is very, very poor on the ground. It is only good on paper. Now, so that let me talk about the gas pipeline and all those things.
In about a minute, please.
Yes, I think that is going to take years to manifest, really. And the security breakdown is not really helping the matter now. But I do believe that unfortunately, the diplomatic relationship between Nigeria and Niger was badly managed during that interventionist posture that was spearheaded by Nigeria. But I also believe that Nigeria has the cultural architecture that it can leverage to really steady that relationship and bring it back, irrespective of form of government that operates in Niger. What most people have forgotten they rarely mention, is the fact that two things stopped the military intervention, the purported military intervention in Niger. One is the cultural factor, the pushback from northern Nigeria, which I think is sensible. If you go and attack Niger, the displaced people there are going to come to Nigeria. So you saw the Emir of Kano going to Niger, the Sultan and all those things. Outside the common language that is spoken. So people say like, oh, you want to attack our people. But people must realize that it is that cultural diplomacy that is the number one factor. Because if Nigeria had spearheaded an intervention in Nigeria, Nigeria is the one that is going to foot the bill and still pay the price when the internal displaced people start moving in the direction of Nigeria. The second factor, which I think is political, is the fact the president is new in the office and the fear of 2027 curtail his tendency to really go ahead and do that. So Nigeria can still leverage that cultural diplomacy.
Right.
And whatever is not working between Nigeria and Nigeria now can be worked out because it is the same people, the same language across the border. I don't think that should now stall other developmental agenda and programs like the gas pipeline project because Nigeria suddenly is at loggerhead with Nigeria in terms of international cooperation.
Thank you very much. You can call. I only have 8 minutes left. 0201-277 0993 0201-465 7190. I will pick up your calls now. Make it short. Hello.
Yeah, good evening, Chisioge. Maduka from Festa.
Go ahead, Maduka. Short, please.
I wanted to put it. I wanted to put it to your guest that France is number one factor why ECOWAS did not work. They manipulated the Francophone countries, and even the eco currency. They frustrated it. France never always see Nigeria in West Africa as a challenger rather than a partner. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Interesting. I'll let you respond to that in a moment. Let me just pick up another call. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, Emmanuel. You need to speak up, please. Oh, sorry, your line's cut off. Hello. Hello.
Hello, good evening. This is Wale calling from Ayobo.
Go ahead, Wale, 30 seconds.
I just want to ask your guest, we should have intervened in the Republic. Because if we have intervened in the Republic, what happened in Guinea-Bissau and then what would have happened?
Okay.
We should stop handling to this Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso.
Okay.
Why can't we go after them?
Okay. Thank you. So he's saying that we should have intervened in Niger. Had we intervened in Niger, all the other coups would not have happened, and we should stop pandering. I call them the three brothers that have left ECOWAS. Let me answer more calls. Hello, 30 seconds.
Yeah, good evening, Sisi.
Go ahead, Emmanuel, very quickly.
Yeah. Do your guests think that the president is safe? Based on the fact that he seen celebration erupted in Benin Republic, and then the intervention, and then democracy was restored. Even though
no, I need you to 30 seconds. What is your question?
Do you think this kind of coup, will
is it scaring? Is the president afraid? Yes.
We come back again. Do you think kind of other military officials,
Okay.
Because it's obvious that the Beniners, want the 8th France.
Thank you. Right, I'm going to give you a minute. You've got 3 there. The lines are going. Do you think this coup could happen again? And could that have been, what prompted our president? As in, happen again in Niger? I'm in Benin. Yeah.
The president of Nigeria and the ECOWAS acted in good faith.
Okay.
Deterrence has been established. Anybody that wants to stage another coup will think twice now because a standby force that is readily available to be activated to quench that.
Okay. Next question was, we need to stop pandering to, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and that we should have intervened. This same intervention that was done now should have happened during Niger, when Niger...
Oh, no. Yes, it will have been a very disastrous outcome for Nigeria to intervene.
Okay.
I'm happy. I stood against it, and I'm happy that intervention didn't take place.
Okay.
Niger offers a very narrow corridor for military operation, and that is the reason why it is easier to carry out this clinical operation that they did Benin rather. Offered a narrow corridor for the present operation that took place.
Okay.
So I think the issues are different.
Okay. The first question I don't remember, but I have a message here.
About France.
Yes, it was about France. Yes. If you can answer that in seconds.
There is that popular paradigm that runs among the people in terms of thinking France is the problem But I think I hold a different view, and
Okay.
I've expressed that because of this program.
Excellent. I have a message here again to do with France. Good evening, Ireti. Please, your guest should stop calling people's realistic perception about Nigeria being France's stooge, a figment of their imagination. The evidence are all there. In the north, French helicopters are seen in our forest delivering package to people suspected to be bandits. Hope it's not what I'm thinking. That's CY from Satellite Town. You know what, Dr. Ajewale, there is something I want to ask you. I can't believe I'm running out of time. This is not fair. This is not fair. The lines are going. Here's something that I wanted to ask you. Two topics we hadn't talked about. The security aspect with regards to, our neighbors, our brothers, and how we seem to be on our own. And what are we going to do to get them to actually, what ECOWAS needs to bring everybody together so that we can all fight against the same insurgency, because it's pretty much the same insurgency. The other thing is I wanted to talk to you about Faye and Sonko. We see issues, and I predicted this, if I may say so, although I hate to say I told them so. We see issues bubbling under the surface between Faye and Sonko in Senegal, where you're based. What have I got? 1 minute or so? Yes. Over to you.
Okay, yes, on security, I think we need to do more. And the idea is to invest in this standby force, which was originally designed for counter-terrorism in the Sahel. But unfortunately, the AES state pulled out. And where I think we need to strengthen now is to repurpose that for border surveillance, border security, cross-border cooperation that will prevent the free flow of arms and criminals into the littoral state of West Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, Niger, and Togo. Attacks are fast percolating into those countries if you look at the map. On Faye and Sonko, yes, of course, it is expected, but I think they are projecting that everything is in order. I think if anything is going to unravel, we look towards the election.
Next election.
In the next 3 years or so. And there's the possibility of that unraveling because Sonko still controls the party, while Faye is as the head of state. So the person who is a case of a man who controls the structure and a man who holds the power. I think time will prove who is the strongest.
Okay, let me quickly sneak in another call. Hello, we only have 2 minutes. Hello.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
Quickly, I'm very well. 30 seconds.
Okay. This is the Barrister Peter Oku calling from Mende, Maryland.
Go ahead.
Yeah. God bless you. And greetings to your guest. You see, my take on this issue of our relationship with our French-speaking partners, the ECOWAS countries. You see, the founding of ECOWAS was very artificial. Because, yes, don't forget that when ECOWAS was founded, it was actually General Yakubu Gowon. When he was
yes, sir, I need you to hurry up, otherwise they're going to cut you off. I need you to hurry up, sir. You're going to be cut off.
Okay. Well, what I'm saying is that they need to reform the ECOWAS.
Okay.
Because, they need to reform it because the English-speaking and French-speaking, they are different.
Okay.
Policy of assimilation and association are different.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So is that perhaps that's the way? I'm going to give you 30 seconds. The lines are still going. Unfortunately, I can't answer more calls. Otherwise, I shall get in trouble. Dr. Ajewale, is that the way forward? Perhaps it is important. Perhaps ECOWAS needs to be reformed. I don't know what reform that would look, because we're still going to have French and English speakers, Anglophone and Francophone.
Yes, ECOWAS needs to be reformed, and in a nutshell, it is to move ECOWAS from the ECOWAS of head of states to ECOWAS of the people of West Africa. So if they do that, I think there's a lot that can be unpacked in that, but let us just drop it as a soundbite.
Thank you so very, very much. They're already giving me the evil eye. I'm supposed to go off air now. Dr. Joali, thank you so much. You've got to come back because I do want to talk more about what's going on in Senegal. And I will report the president of your host country to you, who kept me waiting. They kept me waiting for 3 days and they didn't give me an interview in country. So I should be in touch with you. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for enlightening us. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
God bless you.
So much.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
What is our fee? When Lagos State says this organization is meant to help us out, and the people working there are not helping us out. You have a situation where people say it's normal that if your husband doesn't beat you, then he doesn't love you.
Where madness seems to be normalized, you will become mad.
And more of the rush you just can't stop.
It's the station for more talk. 99.3 Nigeria Info.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Africa is all connected. With Turkish Airlines FlyFest, fly to Europe, to America, and to Istanbul at special prices. Book your ticket until December 15th for flights between September 15th and December 15th. For details, please visit TurkishAirlines.com. Turkish Airlines.
Every meal I cook must taste just right. Rich, delicious, full of love.
We hear you. Your Maggi Star in double cubes. Double the flavor, double the convenience. The same trusted taste you love. Maggi Star Double Cubes. Made from fermented soya and other selected ingredients for that deep flavor and quality that only Maggi brings to your dishes.
Absolutely delicious.
Get Maggi Double Cubes today. Me and Maggi, so good together.
Africa is all connected. With Turkish Airlines FlyFest, fly to Europe, to America, and to Istanbul at special prices. Book your ticket until December 15th for flights between September 15th and December 15th. For details, please visit TurkishAirlines.com. Turkish Airlines.
When life tries to hold me down.
Whether you're chilling with your friends, in town with your clique, watching a movie with your bestie, turning up at parties for the jollof, or just chilling at home by yourself, reach for a refreshing bottle of Razzle. Razzle your world and express yourself with the new and exciting flavors of Razzle. Cola, orange, and lemon. Razzle your world.
Africa is all connected. With Turkish Airlines FlyFest, fly to Europe, to America, and to Istanbul at special prices. Book your ticket until December 15th for flights between September 15th and December 15th. For details, please visit TurkishAirlines.com. Turkish Airlines.
Hey, Omo! See package! This is what I call full house.
Yes, sir. That's me. I full.
Huh? Who's talking about you? I'm talking about this Peak Yogurt Drink Full House Pack in your hand. The Peak Yogurt Drink 1 liter Full House Pack with more refreshment contains fresh cow milk. Share and enjoy full house goodness filled with essential vitamins and minerals. Peak. Reach for your peak.
We know how much this season means to you.
And we hope you can make it even more special by eating some delicious meals made with Sonia tomato mix. So, Merry Christmas
and a Happy New Year in advance.
Sonia tomato mix.
Africa is all connected. With Turkish Airlines FlyFest, fly to Europe, to America, and to Istanbul at special prices. Book your ticket until December 15th for flights between September 15th and December 15th. For details, please visit TurkishAirlines.com. Turkish Airlines.
.3 Nigeria Info.
Your number one station for talk. Let's talk. Let's talk.
section of Lagos is closer to you than ever.
Join the conversation online or on the go.
Be part of the Info family on our user-friendly mobile app and website for a better and improved listening experience.
Download the app from Google Play Store and App Store.
With super efficient and clean audio quality.
Log on to nigeriainfo.fm.
Watch us live on YouTube and Facebook.
Follow us on Twitter at NigeriaInfoFM.
And Instagram at NigeriaInfoFM Lagos.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
Let's talk.
This is The Voice Note on 99.3 Nigeria
It is
Info.
a famine. The Gaza famine. It is a famine that we could have prevented if we had been allowed. Yet food stacks up at borders because of systematic obstruction by Israel. It is a famine.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
All in one place.
GPS Owike and co. are suspended because they've been engaging in anti-party activities.
Did he not campaign for Labour Party in Lagos State?
It's just my pocket, my pocket.
Withdrawing police details from VVIP people.
Tomorrow, we'll call they need people to come and join military. I would allow.
The news, conversation, information, and discussion. 99.3 Nigeria Info.
It's 5 o'clock. The headline news on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
On the headlines this evening, Lagos sets to use private-public partnerships to boost safe, reliable water access, while Governor Sanwo-Olu launches a kilo water project, promises improved supply. IGP hails Sanwo-Olu for donating 100 patrol vehicles to police, while Army Chief visits Oba of Lagos for support on military operations. Chief of Naval Staff praises 576 retirees at Armed Forces Resettlement graduation in Oshodi, while Lagos police deny gunmen attack in Ajebo community. Federal government temporarily opens Section 1 of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway in Lagos, while Supreme Court upholds death sentence for Mariam Sanda, overrules presidential pardon. Court remands former Labour Minister Chris Ngige in Kuje, while PDP vows to rebuild after wave of high-profile defections. ADC accuses APC of selling narrative of decided 2027 election, but APC denies allegations of plots to turn Nigeria into one-party state. Rep Speaker Abbas seeks urgent overhaul of workspace safety laws, while National Bureau of Statistics reports slight drop in prices of key food items in October. Federal government targets 1.23 trillion naira to clear power sector debts in 4 months. Ikeja Electric pledges cooperation after FCCPC seals headquarters. INEC records 2.68 million new voter registrations in first phase of CVR. Taylor Swift seen in tears after meeting Southport's attack families. Expedition 33 wins Game of the Year in record sweep. Germany accuses Russia of cyber attack and election interference, while US seized oil tanker changes course. Moves away from Venezuela. President Trump's Gaza peace plan stalls as Israel and Hamas weigh tough choices. That's all for now. It's back to Borderlines with Ireti Bakare-Yusuf right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info, and I am Yvonne Ohaifo. Thank you for your time.
Discussion. It's Borderline.
On 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Welcome back to Borderlines, the only show that takes you beyond borders. So we went to West Africa. We went beyond Nigeria's borders. Now we are going directly to Israel, to a brother of the house, a friend of the house, and one of the most important voices, indeed, one of the best analysts you can find on the Israel-Gaza issue. He's been here many times. It's an absolute honor to have with me again Dr. Ori Goldberg. You should know him by now. Ori, welcome. How are you?
I'm well, Ireti, and it's an absolute honor to be back. It's always a pleasure, and I always learn so much when we have our conversations, so I'm very happy to be here.
Look, every time I see you, every time I read your message, my heart rejoices and my prayers, as you know, and you know why, are with you. So superbly, I have to say, I am incredibly proud of you. I am honored and inspired by your determination to continue to speak truth to power in this awful time.
The feeling is very, very mutual.
So let's get to it. October 9th, there was all the hoopla, all the fanfare about a ceasefire. Indeed, I went to Sharm el-Sheikh and all of that stuff, It was all President Trump was doing his whole, fireworks and, Madame Tussauds display of peace. And since then, Israel has violated, at least according to the Gaza ministry, the ceasefire 700 times. 700 times. Indeed, Israel has killed over 300 Gazans, 2 of whom we know are children who are said to have crossed those green lines, the children who were looking for food for their family. When is a ceasefire not a ceasefire?
Oh, it's certainly not a ceasefire at the moment. And I think the latest numbers have the number of children who have died throughout this period at close to 150. 2 toddlers, 2 infants died of hypothermia yesterday because of the severe weather conditions and because Israel has been refusing to allow emergency aid to enter Gaza to establish shelters and dig drains. In many ways, it's not a ceasefire. Or perhaps in the most important ways, it's not a ceasefire. Israel pretty much gets to do whatever it wants, or at least that's certainly the way it seems. But, and I have to add a but here, this whole setup, this whole understanding of Israel's place in the Middle East and the way the West has condoned it and the way the West has allowed Israel to achieve absolute impunity needs to be taken into consideration, because when you think of the freedom of action, the freedom of massacre that Israel had before the ceasefire, then Israel's abilities to kill have certainly been curtailed. I mean, everybody who says this is not a ceasefire is absolutely right. But simultaneously, Israel is losing much of its ability to operate on the ground, and it's Israel who's on the defensive. Israel is playing a waiting game. Israel is trying to obstruct and obfuscate, because Israel knows full well that when the Gaza Stabilization Force enters the Gaza Strip, and it looks like it will at some point, and Israel will not have full discretion to fire at will. And again, this pains me to say, and it's a horrible thing to say. If Israel has killed 300 Palestinians over the past 6 or 7 weeks, Israel would have killed 3,000 Palestinians 2 months ago during that period. So it's a completely criminal, completely immoral, the way the world so flippantly allows Palestinian blood to be shed. That said, really, the roots of Israel's immoral impunity are so deep and so strong that cutting them out, that severing them, demands a great deal of effort. I'm not going to suggest even remotely that the world is fully committed to the cause of Palestinian life. It isn't. But the world now has Israel on the defensive. Israel is losing, despite appearances to the contrary.
Indeed. Now, the whole world knows, like you rightly said, the violations are endless. Prime Minister Netanyahu continues to claim that what Israel set out to do, it has achieved. As Israel achieved, which was apparently to eradicate Hamas. He claims and continues to claim that we have won the war because we are where we are now. But of course, we've seen young IDF soldiers who have been killed. And of course, over 70, some 100,000 or so Palestinians who have been killed, with thousands more under the rubble. What exactly is Prime Minister Netanyahu celebrating?
Nothing. Prime Minister Netanyahu is lying. Israel has not achieved even the goals it set for itself, unless by saying eradicating Hamas, one means the annihilation of Gaza and the wholesale slaughter of tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, which is, of course, not something Israel will confess to, because that would mean that Israel can be convicted of genocide. So Prime Minister Netanyahu lies, and official Israel lies about as frequently as it breathes, because there's no other way of understanding this analysis or these empty boasts. And this is true, by the way, across the board, not just in Gaza. Prime Minister Netanyahu and Israel set out on a host of Middle Eastern adventures. They occupied Lebanese territory. They occupied Syrian territory. They bombed in Yemen. They're being pushed out of all of these places right now. This is a lengthy process. It's a slow process. Israel is still being given real leeway to shed innocent blood. Shed blood. Innocence is not relevant here. To shed blood, to occupy land, to destroy villages. But again, I can't stress this enough. Israel is ultimately on the defensive. Israel's isolation grows daily. Israel is not seen as a partner for potential negotiations. Israel is not seen as somebody who can go it alone, despite Prime Minister Netanyahu's empty boasts. Over the last few days, we've heard in Israel that Israel is preparing for an offensive on Lebanon because the Lebanese military and the Lebanese government have not been able to stop Hezbollah from strengthening itself and expanding its efforts at growing. But that is a lie. Israel is not going to attack alone. It's not going to be able to do what it did 6 months ago, 8 months ago, a year ago. Time has passed, and even Israel's staunchest allies, and there are many of those who espouse, the racism and the hatred and fear that is at the heart of the colonialist project. But even those defenders now see Israel as a liability, because Israel has done everything in its power to detract from their interests, to harm its allies, because Israel is on the rampage to ensure that it alone decides when it can and should act, and that it will take no orders from anyone. So even its most fervent defenders, even its longest-serving allies, now see Israel as a liability, not even as a potential liability. And again, it's a very slow process. Israel will kill, Israel will shed blood, Israel will destroy, Israel will do a lot of very, very bad things until we can see it reined in. But I think the direction and the momentum are quite clear. Israel is isolated more and more each day, and Israel is on the defense.
Indeed. Now, one of the things, in fact, before I even go there, let's talk, because I don't want us to run out of time. So when President Trump came to the Knesset, he pleaded or ordered or declared that Prime Minister Netanyahu should get a pardon. Prime Minister Netanyahu from Herzog. Prime Minister Netanyahu has then, since then, come out to ask himself on video, ask President Herzog to give him a pardon. But he also said he's not admitting to guilt to any of the crimes that he's been accused of. What is the position of the Israeli constitution or law on that, and how likely is it that, Prime Minister Netanyahu will get that pardon?
Well, this is elaborate and complicated, so I'll answer the last part of your question first. It's ultimately a political decision. It's not a legal decision. So if Herzog, who is said to be in cahoots with Netanyahu on many matters, decides to grant him a pardon, he will grant him a pardon. The reason he can do that is because Israeli law very specifically says that the president of the state of Israel has the authority to pardon felons, that is, convicted felons. Netanyahu has not yet been convicted. So technically he's not eligible for a pardon. But there was one precedent where the president of the country pardoned Shin Bet personnel before they were even put on trial, which was in the late 1980s or in the mid-1980s, when Shin Bet personnel were captured by news photographers beating Palestinians to death after they had tried to hijack a bus. So there was a very shady deal reached where the president of the state pardoned them, and they were not put on trial, but they all resigned. Netanyahu is counting on that precedent. But he not only has he not admitted to guilt, he's already said that he will not accept any kind of bargain here. He will not withdraw from political life. He will not resign. If he is granted this stay of proceedings, it's not even a pardon, he will carry on as usual. So it's now left to Herzog and to the quote-unquote opposition, which doesn't really exist here, to decide whether this is something that they can do and get away with, or whether this will awaken the Israeli public, who is, at least as far as polling numbers show, very much against any kind of pardon for Netanyahu. So that's the legal situation.
So it doesn't look like he's not likely to, is it?
It is, I think, at best a 50-50 chance. Because now we're starting to get leaks that the legal professionals who are overseeing the process are not likely to approve Netanyahu's request on the terms that he suggested. So it looks like we might be headed for a confrontation. But again, remember, this whole thing might be another attempt at subterfuge by Netanyahu, because he wants to stay in power. He wants this endless negotiation with Trump. He wants the soldiers to remain in Gaza. He wants Israel to remain in a state of perennial dishevelment, right? Because Israel right now is a semi-failed state in terms of its ability to function. He wants that. That's good for him, because then he calls a snap election. He wins. He's prime minister for 4 more years.
Wow. Okay. So now, that's the politics of Israel. The politics of the ceasefire, because we can't get away. It is possibly the most political ceasefire one has ever heard of. It's not diplomacy. It is political.
Yeah, very much so. But it also has to do with, if we can call it the Trump paradigm. Because in a way, that's what's happening between Russia and the Ukraine as well. And it's what's happening between Thailand and Cambodia. All those wars that President Trump claimed to have stopped, they seem to have reached a stage of perennial negotiations where things can escalate, but then they can be dialed back. Nobody wants a clear-cut resolution. Everybody wants everything up in the air as much as possible. And in a way, at least where Russia and the Ukraine are concerned, that serves Trump's interest. It serves him in Southeast Asia. It seems like the Israeli-Palestinian issue is going to be a little different. Trump wants some sort of clear-cut resolution here. He wants to assign blame. He wants to assign responsibility. And what we're hearing from Washington, as far as leaks are concerned, is that the United States under Trump is resolved to head into phase 2 of the ceasefire at the beginning of 2026, and that he will do whatever it takes to force both Israel and Hamas to come to the necessary agreements.
But Israel is still insisting that Hamas must de-weaponize, if you like, and Hamas is saying no. We're not going to do that, because the moment we do that, we actually become even more, or our people, or Gaza becomes even more vulnerable. So where is that hope? I mean, let me read something to you, written by Gershon Baskin. I'm sure you know him. Gershon wrote, in the coming weeks, we will witness the beginning of the phase 2 of the, quote, end of war / ceasefire. Only one deceased hostage remains in Gaza. This in itself is amazing. I claimed back in September 2024 that Hamas was prepared to release all hostages within days in exchange for a complete end of the war. Hamas gave that to me in writing, in Arabic and in English. When I negotiated with the Hamas leadership on behalf of their hostage families. And it goes on, and I'll end it here. He says, retired General Amiram Levin worked with me to present the deal to the Israeli negotiators and the Prime Minister, because he has more public credibility on security issues than I have. He was told the same thing that Israel negotiators told me. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his government were not prepared to end the war. So what is the point of this phase 2?
the point of this phase two is that things change with the passage of time. What was true when Gershon Baskin and retired General Levine did this is no longer as true because Trump doesn't trust Netanyahu. And if Trump gave Netanyahu his marching orders to some extent 6 months ago, he is now prepared. I understand Netanyahu is coming to Washington on the 29th of December, and they're going to meet. I expect, and again, we're hearing all sorts of things. For example, we're hearing that the United States has forced Israel to agree to fund the removal of rubble from Gaza so reconstruction can begin at Israel's cost, not have anybody else pay for it. So what is, I think, more likely than anything is that Trump is going to present Netanyahu with a reality that is, as the French say, fait accompli, already decided. And Netanyahu is not going to have a lot to say about it. And the reason is that Trump now trusts the Qataris and the Turks much more than he trusts Netanyahu. And he sees Netanyahu, again, as an element that not only obstructs a potential peaceful resolution, but also stands to obstruct deals that would be financially beneficial to Trump and his family. I think recent numbers that have been released over the last week show that Trump has made more than $2 billion during his time as president. He's not going to let Netanyahu get in the way of deals with the rich oil chieftains of the Persian Gulf. And these are the people who are now calling the shots. They're doing it slowly. It's a very cumbersome path. It's full of obstacles that are mostly strewn by Israel. But again, more and more, it becomes clear that it is Israel that is the most obstructive element in this equation. You're talking about Hamas being disarmed or decommissioned. Hamas has offered a lot of options on how to do that. Hamas has said we'd be willing to surrender our arms to a Palestinian security force, for example. So Trump has options. And as a negotiator or somebody who values his negotiating skills, Trump likes options. Trump can approach the Palestinian Authority. Trump can work with the Palestinians. Trump can work with the organization of the Islamic Council. Trump can work with a lot of people on the Arab side of the equation. As far as the Israeli side goes, he has only Netanyahu. And I can tell you, if you'll permit me to,
please
shift
go ahead.
the lens for a second into Israel, that Netanyahu is holding on only by constantly increasing the dissonance, the cognitive dissonance in which Israel lives. The Israeli media is constantly either broadcasting images of great triumph and victory or praising those who say that, we shouldn't care about the Gazans because they started on October 7th, 2023. The dissonance is constantly being sharpened, so Israelis will not be able to go it alone. Israelis will not be able to do everything that Netanyahu claims that they will be able to do, that they are eager to do, because Israel is coming apart at the seams. So I would be optimistic and think that at the moment, Trump, when he's negotiating, he sees the Arab side as much more promising partners than the Israeli side, which is in itself unprecedented.
Indeed. Well, to back up what you said, Gershon went on to say, no one except me believed that Hamas would return all of the hostages. Everyone said Hamas will keep some hostages as an insurance policy. Think of all the lives that could have been saved if the war had ended in September 2024 instead of a whole year later. Let's talk about this fait accompli then. And the GSF, which is the Gaza Security Force.
Stabilization Force.
Yes, thank you. What is that going to be made of? Because that's part of the sticking point. Who is going to make that up? Are they going to actually speak to Palestinians, civil society, politicians, or are they just going to impose? I mean, we've heard of Indonesia, we've heard that Israel doesn't want Turkey as a part of it, and all of that stuff. Have they come to a decision as to which countries is going to make up that GSF?
Well, see, here's the thing, Ireti. A lot of countries are interested in being a part of this GSF also because there are economic opportunities there to be had, like, for example, getting in on the funds that will be invested in the reconstruction of Gaza. But no country so far wants its troops to be put in a position where they might have to fight Palestinian forces. What they're saying is we are willing to enter if the security situation is arranged between Palestinians and Israelis. And that, at least according to Israel, seems like an impassable hurdle, but that's not true. It's not. It seems that way because that's the way Israel spins it and presents it. But again, the more options Hamas presents to President Trump, the more the negotiations in Cairo with the Americans, with the Egyptians, with the Qataris are progressing, and they are progressing. Israel is not participating in them, but they are progressing. The more likely it is that ultimately Trump will tell Netanyahu that nobody but Palestinians can actually man and control the Gaza Stabilization Force. There's also the Gaza Peace Council that Trump intends to announce at the beginning of 2026, which appears to be the new deadline. If Trump makes this Gaza Stabilization Council, if he mans it, not with Tony Blair's, and Tony Blair has apparently already been blackballed. He will not head the council.
So
but
Tony Blair is out.
Is out. But if they're going to be, for example, rich Egyptian businessmen who have close ties to the Palestinian Authority, if there are going to be all sorts of conduits and bypasses that will allow the Palestinian Authority to get into Gaza, despite Israel's very overt resistance to the idea, then it won't matter what Israel says. The situation will present itself. You know, the necessities of the Gaza reconstruction will be such that Israel might raise all the objections it might want, but if there are soldiers on the ground in Gaza from Azerbaijan, from Turkey, from Indonesia, and even if there aren't, if there's only international commitment to reconstruction, if there's a plan, then Israel is already constrained. It cannot simply fire. It cannot move the yellow line that now separates the two halves of the Gaza Strip. Israel needs to get its act in order. It will need to do that. Now, I may sound wildly optimistic. Don't think that this is going to happen in a day and that Israel is simply going to stop. But the momentum, again, is very clear. Now we're at the stage where everybody says no. But even the no's are potential yeses for everyone except Israel. And the longer Israel remains recalcitrant, the longer Israel remains the true obstruction to any kind of progress, the less likely it is that the Israeli agenda will be fulfilled.
You talked of Trump trusting the Arab coalition more. Well, indeed, they've been for a long time the weakest link in terms of, international response. What is there to trust in them right now? Why would Donald Trump trust them now?
Well, first of all, they butter him up personally, right? I mean, Qatar gave him his own personal jet, and there are all sorts of investment deals where the Trump family gets a hefty portion of whatever funds are being invested in the United States. So that's one thing. But the other is that he trusts them because they don't present it, this potential alliance, as something that is based on binding ideology or on religious faith. They present it as a deal. And Trump understands that. And Netanyahu keeps trying to bamboozle Trump. He keeps trying to use, for example, his evangelical friends to entrap Trump. But Trump is looking at the way U.S. politics is changing right now, and he understands that the evangelicals are really not as strong as they were. He can't count on them, and he is receiving a lot of criticism at home. And Trump wants options. Again, I can't say this enough. Netanyahu doesn't present options. With Netanyahu, it's either you do whatever Israel tells you to do, or you're screwed. Trump doesn't like that. He hasn't trusted Netanyahu since he came to power, because right after he came to power, the New York Times published a cartoon that had Netanyahu leading him on a leash. He hasn't trusted Netanyahu since. And all of these gestures that you mentioned, for example, coming to the Knesset, to the Israeli parliament, and saying, give Netanyahu a pardon. These are the gestures of a beneficent tyrant. They're not the gestures of statesmanship. This is not about strategic reality. This is about Trump throwing Netanyahu a bone. Look how strong I am. I can work this for you. Okay? So this is not about commitment to Israel. It's not about blind support for Israel. There are a lot of hurdles that need to be crossed. I don't know if Trump is the man to cross them, but certainly the situation on the ground right now is that everything Israel says is suspicious for, the most basic reason being that Israel lies.
Indeed. when you will look at, part of the things that were agreed, or the factors of the ceasefire, is humanitarian aid. And we haven't seen that go up at all. The Americans, whatever Trump may think of Netanyahu, there doesn't appear to be any pressure being put on Israel to actually increase and meet up with its obligations in the same ceasefire of, increased humanitarian drugs in the same ceasefire. We also saw the invasion, if you like, the attack of the UN office just in Jerusalem, not just, it's just this week, I think. So what's going on with that? I mean, the Palestinians are in flood. They're living in tents. Like you said earlier, some are dying. There's some 9,000 malnutrition children in hospital. We've also seen videos of foreign, medical personnel, doctors like Dr. Rosie and stuff, who are denied entry into Gaza all the time, or at least into Palestine. What is going on there? Because whatever Donald Trump may think of Netanyahu, lives are still being lost. I mean, they can have their bro romance fallout or bro get together, whatever you want to call it, but Palestinian lives are still being lost.
Very true. You're absolutely correct, Ireti. And Palestinian lives are being lost, and they're being lost due to intentional Israeli policies. Israel is doing this intentionally. It is preventing the entry of aid. It is preventing doctors from entering the Strip. It is keeping border crossings closed. There is pressure that's being, I think the Americans are more and more pressuring Israel to open, for example, a border crossing with Jordan to allow aid to enter. But it's true that Israel is, at the moment, preventing this from happening. And the reason this is happening is because Israel can still get away with a lot of things, and I can't stress this enough, because the past 2 years and 3 months or whatever, the past 2 years they haven't changed Israeli society. They've profoundly radicalized it. At the moment, there's absolutely no political benefits to be gained from supporting, for example, the suspension of aid prevention even for 3 days before a storm. Right? There's only been one Jewish politician who called for aid to enter Gaza, specifically targeted to the storm, to preparations for the storm. Other than him, this is Ofer Kassif. He's a member of parliament for a Palestinian Jewish party. Other than him, no Jewish politician talked about allowing aid to enter the Strip. Israeli society really is probably in the worst place it's ever been in terms of recognizing the humanity of Palestinians and of thinking about potential solutions, not just for the long-term future, but for the short-term future. As far as the great majority of Israeli Jews are concerned, this is Palestinians' problem. It's their fault. They should have not elected Hamas. They should have not attacked Israel on October 7th. They're a civilization of animals. They educate their children to kill just whatever. You'll hear any kind of abomination and filth you can think of, you will hear and read on Israeli social media and in Israeli mainstream media. So that is also very much a part of it. Israel is digging in. Israel is circling the wagons. One of the things that Israel is most afraid of, and this goes directly to not allowing aid in, is allowing the global media into Gaza fully. Israel has managed to keep the media out so far. Israel knows that despite the fact that this has been the most documented genocide in the history of genocides, the images of destruction are still, they still are beyond belief. You know, that once this gets out, there will be no doubt in anyone's mind what Israel did, and the cries to convict Israel, certainly in the court of world public opinion of genocide, will be answered immediately. So Israel is trying its best to keep Gaza shut off. Okay? And that is probably the main motivation. It's not so much trying to kill Palestinians, it's trying to get away with it. And Israel still has the power to do that. It is revolting Okay, it's nothing less than criminal. And again, it goes to the fact that the Israeli genocide is not just an Israeli perversion. That the Israeli genocide embodies the deeply held fantasies of a colonialist West about the brown hordes of barbarians at the gate. And there are a lot of people, not just Jews, who see Israel as the last defender of the West, kind of like, the siege of Vienna in 1683, before the Ottomans could have taken it. That's still very much a part of the discourse. But again, as we progress, even the people who think these thoughts are becoming more and more ludicrous. You hear statements that are simply, I'm not even talking about morally reprehensible. I'm talking about completely bonkers. Okay? The whole discourse is insane. So am I optimistic? Cautiously, yes. Do I think that this really is a very, very dark time for humanity? It is. But I'll just say this, Gaza is going to be the shibboleth of our times. Your opinion on Gaza, where you stand on Gaza, that's going to define the world for decades to come, because it's about whether you see the world as completely dominated by the haves who push their agenda that is focused on maintaining their own supremacy or power, or if you see a world that is connected through human solidarity and a human duty towards other humans. It is as simple as that. And every day that goes by where this is still the situation only accentuates and heightens the gap between these two things.
Indeed. And as you said, it's interesting that they're blaming Palestinians for electing Hamas, the same Israel elected Benjamin Netanyahu, who is getting young Israeli Jews in, military killed, and some of them committing suicide, and indeed a lot of them suffering from PTSD.
Oh yeah, and they commit suicide, and as you say, and I can only attest to myself. I write daily in both Hebrew and English about the situation, and I can tell you that I've come to an impasse that I think I'll find a way to resolve. But for about 2 weeks now, I can't write in Hebrew about politics. Wow. The language itself is tainted. You can't use the Hebrew words. You can't. Just the very thought of a conversation where you would have to be against or pro genocide. Okay, these are conversations that are had in Israel on a daily basis by everyone. It's the very fact that you would use words to justify genocide, to explain why genocide is necessary, to say, what do we care about them? It's not our problem that they're going to drown in the floods that are coming with this Mediterranean storm. I can't find myself. I don't have the strength to use these words. So I'm writing about other things in Hebrew, but I am regaining my composure slowly. This is as bad as it is. Israeli society is living in a complete state of cognitive and moral dissonance. It has dissociated itself from the world, and it is only strengthening this tendency because Israel is fully committed. Right now, it either gets done the way Israel claims it should be done, which is very much detached from reality, or it doesn't get done at all. We've invested so much of our energies and our resources into this security doctrine that says we get to do whatever we want whenever we want. If we don't see it through, it will have all been for naught.
And then there's the West Bank. I mean, you have the UN reports. I'm looking at it here. Over 800 Israeli settler attacks on Palestinians between October 23 and May 2024. And it's gone up even higher now, up until today.
All proudly documented by the settlers, all backed and expanded and enhanced by the Israeli military. There's one point that we need to make about the West Bank. The West Bank, in the West Bank, it isn't the Israeli prime minister who's the sovereign. It's not the state of Israel. The West Bank is occupied territory. So the sovereign is the general who commands the Israeli military central command. And the current commander is a settler, born, raised, and bred in settler institutions. And he has institutionalized policies that former commanders shied away from. For example, the massive uprooting of olive trees. This has been the worst crop season in Palestinian history, modern history certainly, because Israel, official Israel, not settlers, military bulldozers have uprooted thousands of olive trees throughout the West Bank, thereby simply cutting off the millennia-old means of survival for Palestinians. The Central Command keeps more than 100,000 Palestinians laborers at home, preventing them from entering Israel and working for a living. So when we're talking about the West Bank, it's not as dramatic as Gaza, but we are talking about poverty reaching unsustainable levels. We're talking about hunger in a lot of places. We're talking about public institutions and systems shutting down. This is all happening, and it's not happening because of settlers. It's happening because this is what the Israeli state is doing.
Let's talk briefly about, and I do know that the interesting thing about, Israeli analysts like you is that you're like, you're very careful about speaking to the Palestinian politics and everything, but let's kind of go there. Okay. One of the things that's constantly said by Israel, or at least by Benjamin Netanyahu and Smotrich and the Knesset in total, and indeed America and Europe, is that there isn't a Palestinian consensus. Now, here we are today. I've now seen, I saw an increased advocacy and campaign to get Marwan Barghouti freed. We've seen the refusal, Israel refusing to free him. Israel literally demonizing, dismissing Mahmoud Abbas, but also at the same time demonizing Hamas as we won't work with them. They're not good for the Palestinians. So what exactly does Israel want? What is happening with that Palestinian consensus? And what are they saying about it in Israel where you are?
Israel has for decades, certainly the last 2, possibly 3, has been very adamantly, very persistently applying a policy of divide and conquer with regard to the Palestinians. I mean, Israel funded Hamas precisely for that reason, because it wanted an alternative to the Palestinian Authority that it would use when the Palestinian Authority began to receive too much recognition or legitimacy. They would bring out Hamas, and Israel would talk to Hamas. But when Hamas would attack Israel, Israel would return to talk to the Palestinian Authority, thereby ensuring effectively that there would never be a Palestinian consensus. But the truth right now seems to be that there is, I guess, a Palestinian consensus of sort. Not broad, sweeping, and completely overt, but it's very clear as far as Palestinians are concerned that Hamas will be a part of the political future of Palestine. It may rename itself, it may disarm, it may reform as a new political party, just like, for example, Sinn Féin did in Ireland and the African National Congress did in South Africa. But Hamas will be a part simply because Hamas has remained standing in Gaza despite all of Israel's efforts to achieve an opposite result. And after having said that, what's a Palestinian consensus? If you are negotiating for peace and stability, who said you needed a consensus to negotiate?
Indeed.
I mean, I'll flip this as far as Israel is concerned. There used to be a time when, I am also kind of an Iran expert. I used to consult and advise the Israeli government.
And Iran, incidentally, spoke up this week at the Doha debate, at the Doha forum. They spoke up and they called out. They called out all their Arab brothers and said, "We've paid the price for supporting Palestine. Where are the rest of you?" Go ahead.
Very true. And so, whenever I would say, Israel should strive for some kind of resolution with Iran, a lot of people would say, "Yeah, we understand where you're coming from." But there's always the risk in Iran of some crazy mullah gaining control of the big red button and pushing it and using the nuclear option, because you can never rule out an extremist takeover in Iran. So that used to be something that Israel directed at Iran. The tables have turned completely. Now the extremists are here. Now the people who can set the entire Middle East on fire are in Israel, and Israel has a nuclear option in contrast to Iran. So if Israel says we need a Palestinian consensus, who would trust Israel? Who would listen to Israel? That's not a viable argument. Add that to the fact that Israel does not approach this debate with clean hands because Israel is the chief guarantor of divide and conquer inside Palestinian politics, making sure that there would never be a Palestinian consensus. But again, what we're seeing now is conversations and negotiations that are simply leading Israel outside the pale. People are not talking to Israel. Palestinian authorities talking to Hamas. Hamas is talking to the Qataris. Qataris are talking to the Turks. Everybody's talking to the Americans. It's way more likely that when Trump announces whatever phase 2 is going to be at the beginning of 2026, Hamas will be much more prepared for it than Israel is because Hamas has been a part of the process. Israel has not been a part of the process.
Right. So are you saying that Israel has been isolated, rather, by everybody?
Most of all by its own will. Israel has chosen not to participate. Israel has chosen to pursue independent security. It has chosen to stress that it is free to do whatever it wants, whenever it wants. That is the big prize over which Prime Minister Netanyahu led Israel to war and genocide against Gaza. So Israel can only blame itself.
Indeed. Right, I'm coming to your calls now. You've started calling 0201-277 0993 0201 4657 You should have been sending a WhatsApp 0809 597 5805. Make it short, sharp, and succinct. Hello.
Hello, Sister. Good evening. How are you?
I'm very well, Titilokwe. How are you?
I'm fine. I have two questions in just 1 minute. First question. So you spoke about the International Stabilization Force. In the election at the United Nations Security Council, it was 30-0 in favor, and just China and Russia abstained. The abstinence of Russia and China, what does it say in that? Does it mean anything, reservation, or maybe static support for the for the ISF? So that's one. Number two, isolation now. Israel is being isolated after the war. I mean, we saw Britain, we saw Canada, and more countries recognizing the Palestinian state. Now, EBU, European Broadcasting Union, musical competition, 4 or 5 countries now are going to be boycotting
the Eurovision Song Contest. Yes.
Yes, because of Israel action in Gaza. And if this peace agreement right now breaks down again, what kind of reputational damage can Israel suffer again if the world rises up against them?
Thank you very much. Yes, Antisilokwe, who is a regular listener, takes one of my questions straight out of my head and directs it to you, which is, yes, we're seeing, I think there's now 5 countries or so that are boycotting the Eurovision Song Contest because of Israel, because Israel is allowed. And he asked a very interesting question, actually. China and Russia abstained during the UN resolution on the GSF. What does that abstinence mean? Abstaining mean?
Well, Russia has its own fish to fry. And by the way, Netanyahu bragged about his constant communications with Putin regarding the situation in Syria. So Russia now, I think, has much to gain from appearing able to talk to everybody on the ground, and it's from not committing to any particular side. China, this has been Chinese policy for some time. China is afraid to show its military chops or to enter the fray as a mediator that also takes on resolutions that have any kind of military dimension. China definitely wants to be in on Gaza's reconstruction. It sees a lot of financial opportunity there in the Middle East. But China is reticent about the Middle East. It doesn't quite know what to do there. I will say that China's relationship with Israel has significantly deteriorated over the past month, with Israel entertaining senior Taiwanese leaders, with the Israeli-Taiwanese parliamentary lobby declaring a visit to Taiwan and irking Chinese ire. So China is getting ready to make a very public stand against Israel. It already has. I don't foresee any kind of trailblazing leadership on China's part in that respect.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. 30 seconds. Go ahead very quickly.
Okay, this is Barrister Peter Oku calling.
Go ahead.
With respect to the Israeli, the situation in Israel. Mr. Trump, the president of the U.S., is a transactional president. What is happening in Israel is not different from what is happening in Russia, between Russia and Ukraine. Yes, Russia, in as much as Mr. Trump wants to be seen as a peacemaker, he is more transactional. His family business, what his family will gain, is more important to him than the politics of the situation.
Solution. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
God bless you.
God bless you too. There's a comment. Hello. Okay. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Very
This is
quickly.
Wale
30 seconds. Go ahead.
If the Arab leaders, like the Saudis, the Emirates, and the Kuwait, have done more for Gaza and saw their parochial sentiment about the Muslim Brotherhood, if they have done more, I think this war would have ended.
Thank you. If the Arab leaders had done more, perhaps this war would have ended, is what he was saying. Hello.
Yeah, evening, FCCOG.
30 seconds, Emmanuel.
Yeah, these people have been long-time fools. I mean, the Israeli and the Palestinians. And some of us have always thought that a two-state solution will solve the problem. But I've been looking at the way they are bombing Lebanon, Syria, and their other neighbors. And this ceasefire that seems not to be a ceasefire. Even with a two-state solution, are we still going to have a solution to this Israeli aggression? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's a question. Given what Israel has been doing to all their neighbors as they are, including Lebanon, can we see a solution? Hello. Oh, I think I've lost that call. Yeah, so, Ori, let me give you a minute to that and I'll try and pick. Oh, here we go. Hold on 1 second. Hello.
Good evening, Cecilia. I'm Marco from First Act.
Okay, 30 seconds.
I'm not asking this question. I just want to make a comment. That
okay, 30 seconds.
This your guest has been one of the most balanced analysts I've ever listened to, and I want to commend him.
Oh, his name is Dr. Ori Goldberg. You can say it again, repeat it. No, you can call his name. Call his name and then say what you want to say. Ori Goldberg. Okay, thank you. There you go, Ori. You see, you're too popular. That's your problem. Far too popular.
I can't ask for better.
Indeed. Perhaps you want to address those other 2 points that were made. I mean,
About
indeed,
Lebanon?
Especially about the Arabs as well.
Yes, about the Arabs.
And then Lebanon, Emmanuel was asking, can we look at peace? Because Israel and Palestine have been foes, to use Emmanuel's words, for a long time.
Ever since the 1950s, there's been a joke in Israel that no matter which Arab country signs a peace treaty with Israel first, the second will be Lebanon.
Oh, wow.
Peace with Lebanon is fairly easy to achieve. It's about Hezbollah and it's about Lebanese leadership, but it's also about an Israeli decision. I think that Israel can reach a stable resolution with Lebanon, even if it's not a full peace treaty, very quickly if the political will is in place. And I think Israel will have to do that because Israel is certainly not in the mood and certainly not in a position to go into another war with Lebanon. Israel is not in a position to go into another war at all. Okay. So I think we can see resolutions galore should Israel be made to see reason. This will take time, but I'm fairly confident that this is where we're going. As far as Arab leaders, Arab leaders, I think, did not imagine...
They're just as transactional as Trump?
No, I think that they never imagined they would have the ear of a sitting American president as they do with Donald Trump. I think they never imagined Israel would be so reckless, so blunt, so overt in fulfilling its colonialist and racist fantasies. And I think the straw that broke the camel's back was Israel's attack on Doha, on Qatar, actually firing a missile. I think that showed Trump that Israel had lost it completely.
Thank you.
And I don't think Trump knew that it was going to happen. I think Americans were alerted as it was happening. I think that ever since then, the tables have turned, and the Arabs are presenting Trump with a fairly stable agenda, and they're also telling him to pin the tail on Israel, to make Israel responsible, pay for the consequences of its actions. which I think is happening. Trump will try to prevent international trials because if Netanyahu is put on trial, so will he. But I think we're going to see all sorts of interesting developments coming over the next month or so.
So anyway, I can't answer more calls, but I can use up the time. I've only got 2 minutes left. Here's the thing, talking of who's going to pay, EU is using Russia's money to build or to fix Ukraine. Why are they not? Why has the EU? Because Israel has the biggest trade partner with the EU. There is Israeli money all over Europe, the UK, even America. Why is that money not being invested into Gaza?
Because the EU has to operate on unanimous consensus, and Israel still has allies, particularly Hungary with its illiberal Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who may, by the way, lose his upcoming election, and then we'll see what's what. So Israel is safe from that kind of asset freeze, but that's certainly something the EU will consider if the political climate changes.
Thank you so much, Ori Goldberg, our dear brother from Israel. Thank you, Ori. Have a fabulous weekend.
Thank you for having me, Ireti. It's always a pleasure.
The pleasure's ours, as you heard my listeners say. Take care, brother. All the best. Bye-bye.
Is all connected. With Turkish Airlines FlyFest, fly to Europe, to America, and to Istanbul at special prices. Book your ticket until December 15th for flights between September 15th and December 15th. For details, please visit turkishairlines.com. Turkish Airlines.
Introducing So Clean Pink Detergent, Nigeria's first pink detergent innovation, specially formulated to make your clothes look and smell amazing. It's with 2 times perfume, so every wash releases a burst of long-lasting fragrance. It's soft on clothes with color guard that leaves your colored clothes vibrant and bright. So Clean Pink delivers great cleaning while treating your fabrics to a touch of luxury. Feel the pink with So Clean, the #1 pink detergent.
Pregnant Care. Do you know why you should take Pregnant Care supplements before, during, and after pregnancy? Pregnant Care is formulated by scientists to create the safest and most trusted formula. Pregnant Care from Vitabiotics UK contains 19 micronutrients, including folic acid and vitamin B12, which help reduce birth defects in babies.
Pregnant Care, helping produce healthy Nigerian babies and moms. Available now in all good pharmacies.
Pregnant Care.
Africa is all connected. With Turkish Airlines FlyFest, fly to Europe, to America, and to Istanbul at special prices. Book your ticket until December 15th for flights between September 15th and December 15th. For details, please visit turkishairlines.com. Turkish Airlines.
Introducing So Clean Pink Detergent, Nigeria's first pink detergent innovation, specially formulated to make your clothes look and smell amazing. It's with 2 times perfume, so every wash releases a burst of long-lasting fragrance. It's soft on clothes with color guard that leaves your colored clothes vibrant and bright. So Clean Pink delivers great cleaning while treating your fabrics to a touch of luxury. Feel the pink with So Clean, the #1 pink detergent.
Whether you're chilling with your friends, in town with your clique, watching a movie with your bestie, turning up at parties for the jollof, or just chilling at home by yourself, reach for a refreshing bottle of Razzle. Razzle your world and express yourself with the new and exciting flavors of Razzle: cola, orange, and lemon. Razzle your world.
Mr. Teacher, please, what happens when children come to school? How is it that they leave home very neat and return looking so different?
Non-stop action, ma. All the learning and sports burn energy. So those sweat stains, dirty uniforms and shoes, they show that your kid has been very active.
Now, wow.
Your kids need nourishing energy. Give them Milo at breakfast. It has nutrients that support energy release to help them get the most out of their day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo!
It's the season for jollification, and we are kicking off with the Hares Insurance Excite Rewards. Get free fuel vouchers, airtime, electricity tokens, and cable TV subscriptions when you renew any insurance plan from Hares General Insurance. You also get rewarded when you buy any of the following insurance plans: the Flexi or Comprehensive Motor Insurance Plan, travel insurance or home protection plans. Rewards apply to policies with a minimum duration of 6 months. To claim your rewards, simply send an email to wecare@haresgeneralinsurance.com. Protect what you love this season and get rewarded with Hares Insurance Excite Rewards. Visit www.hairsinsurancegroup.com, that is HEIRS, or download the Simple Life mobile app or dial *1100# to get started. Courtesy Hares General Insurance. Terms and conditions apply.
Africa is all connected. With Turkish Airlines FlyFest, fly to Europe, to America, and to Istanbul at special prices. Book your ticket until December 15th for flights between September 15th and December 15th. For details, please visit TurkishAirlines.com. Turkish Airlines.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3
This is where it all connects.